everyone, and welcome. Welcome to a new year at Mind and Muse Crafts. This is a podcast all about the crafty side of my life. So these are episodes in which I share with you projects that I have been working on using different crafts. Normally I crochet for most of the time, but I do some felting, some knitting, and every once in a while some sewing. So welcome to 2020 at Mind and Muse Crafts. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for joining me once again after my long hiatus from the YouTube channel screen. And if you are a new viewer, well, welcome also. And thank you for taking the chance and pressing that watch button and giving me an opportunity to share with you the things that I do, not on a daily basis, but very frequently in my everyday life. So maybe I'll start out by saying that you will all have noticed, if you follow this channel, that I was not able to complete my Vlogmas. I was able to get up 2 episodes, but then my mom became very ill, and ultimately she passed away on December 20th. So I guess since the beginning of December, I haven't been back to this channel. Obviously, right, because of the fact that we were dealing with her loss. Also, family was over and we had some family time. So I just took that month to rest, to regain my spirits, and be able to join you once again on this channel. So before I get into the different segments, the normal segments of one of my podcasts, how about we take a look at 2019? 2019, in terms of the makes, that in terms of this podcast and the things that we shared and some things that we didn't, I did an inventory. And for this previous year, I created 7 socks. Well, not actually a sock pattern, but I used other people's patterns, or maybe some of my own even, to create 7 socks. 2 of them were knitted socks and the other 5 were crochet. I made 7 garments, all in crochet. I created 8 accessories. Well, under accessories I include shawls, slippers or shoes, and gloves, and headbands, and cowls, vests, all those different types of things that are not a garment because you wouldn't wear them alone, but they accessorize, they add to whatever it is that you're wearing, your outfit. So I've got 8 of those. And my crochet jewelry, I have 6 items, and that was only the crochet one. I haven't included their jewelry that was specifically a wire or beaded, only my crochet jewelry. And the largest category was the category for the miscellaneous crafts. Under the miscellaneous, which will include anything that is not an accessory, a garment, or jewelry, or a sock, everything else is, there were 20 items. So I did big on the miscellaneous this year. I can't call it the year of the sock or the year of the shawl or the year of the garment. It was the year of miscellaneous. Most of them had to do with home decor, I believe. So there were clutches and baskets and rugs and doilies and pumpkins, and so a lot of that. Right? And so in total, if I count the 2 patterns for the bookmarks that were that are on my blog and that were published by Crozine, by the Crochet Zine magazine on Instagram, I have a total of 50 makes. 50 makes this year. And that is without counting my felting. Under felting, I believe there were 5 felted items. Not as many as I would have liked. I am really a fan of felting. I think it is a craft that really helps me become at peace with everything around me because I totally focus on the needle punching and I don't remember anything else, because if you do not focus on that needle poking, you're going to end up poking a finger or breaking a needle or having a disaster. So it's something that you really need to keep eye contact with. It's not something you can do while you're watching TV. So your total focus has to be on that craft, and I like that. I like that when I am absorbed by a project in such a way that I can forget about everything around me and just concentrate on what I am doing. So I also, unfortunately, did not get to make the painting that I wanted to make for my husband of his pet dog, or dog Snoopy. But I have not discarded it. I mean, there are other days coming up. He has a birthday in May, there's Father's Day in June, so I might still have the opportunity to create that for him. So, that was 2019 in a nutshell. And I always think that a new year is a nice time to sit down and to think about what happened the previous year, where we took ourselves, in what direction we moved, and to give it a rethink and to think about what we want to do in this upcoming year. A new year for me is always a sense of hope that I can put an end to whatever I was doing previously and start something new. So I always look forward to that. If you remember that last year I chose the word authentic, and maybe halfway through the year I was finally able to get it up on a crochet basket, and so it's around there every day to remind me that I want to be authentic in my crafting. I want to be authentic in this podcast. I want to be me. I want you to be able to look at my Instagram or to look at the things that I am making and say, yeah, that's her. That is Caroline of Mind and Muse. I know that a mile away. So I think that is part of the reason why my crafting went towards the miscellaneous, all of the extra things, because I know that there has been a tendency of a lot of modern crocheters to try and get into the garment industry, to try and get into making and designing and crocheting garments that other people have designed, because that is what we call modern crochet. Modern crochet has a tendency to be more of a craft for garments and still accessories, but there's always, when people talk about being modern, they always talk about moving away from the granny square and moving away from those items that were usually associated with crochet. For example, for me, classic crochet would be the doilies that I've been working on this year. And I have nothing against modern crochet. I have nothing against the modern designers. Their fantastic use of old and new crochet stitches and the way they understand how a stitch behaves, so that when they incorporate it into their patterns, they get the design that they're looking for, they get the shape that they're looking for, and their creations just become what they want it to be. And I don't think that I am at that stage yet as a crocheter, but I also like the classics. If I could sitting down this year and making those doilies were some of the most happy moments of my life during this year. I was at ease, I was at peace, I was confident that that was something that I could do, and row by row, just seeing how they grew into something totally different was very satisfying. So I really liked that, and I think that's why you'll see that the majority of my crochet this year was dedicated to putting crochet all over my house. And so I've got the rugs, and I've got the doilies, and I've got the baskets, and I've got the wall art, and I think in the long run, that's who I'm going to want to be. I think that's the way I'm going to want to do it. So, I hope you'll join me on this new year, and let's see where it'll take us, because I also hope that you will join me with some of these projects. Walking the talk is the first part. the first segment of this podcast. So what am I sharing with you today? Today I'm sharing with you these fabulous earrings. If you'll notice, they are a doily pattern earring. They were sent to me all the way from Australia by my Doily Exchange Partner. Hi Natalie, if you are being able to watch, we all know that Australia is going through some severe weather. I don't know if that's part of the weather, but all these fires that have been practically destroying land, destroying wildlife, and even taking on human lives. And so a prayer goes out to them. I hope I have contacted Natalie. She has said that they have just barely been able to save the farmland of her husband's family, and so they're just waiting it out. Hopefully it will get better for them, and I hope that you will all have Australia in your prayers over the next days or weeks or whatever it takes for things to get better over there. So Natalie, thank you for these precious earrings. She did not send me one. She did not send me two, but she sent me 4 pairs of crocheted earrings. She also sent me several doilies that I have placed already around my house. Her craftsmanship was wonderful to look at, wonderful to observe, and wonderful to receive in that early December. So thank you, Natalie, for exchanging with me, and thank all of those who participated, because I'm pretty sure that your package made somebody feel very nice over this December. So, you all know that I love jewelry, and I have been on the crochet jewelry boat for a while. The only thing I did to these was, once I received them, I did try to stiffen them. I used starch. It didn't work. I used a product stiffener that I purchased at our local Walmart. It did not work. And the last thing I did was take equal parts of white glue and water and make a very liquidy paste, and I put it on the back. And that did seem to work very well with these earrings. With all of the earrings, I did them all at the same time. So it did change the color a bit. I did see them become a bit darker, but it did work. And I think that if you have noticed my new haircut, over December, after the holiday season, just before Elizabeth left, we went together to get new looks. And so I think that with this new look, I usually never wore very large earrings before. I didn't feel that they looked well on me. But with this new look, I think that they look very nice. And so there I am with my crochet earrings. And also I am wearing a pendant, rose quartz pendant, that I shared with you previously on one of these podcasts. So there I am, all together with my rose quartz. Here's a ring that I also created some time back. And so I am definitely today walking the talk. I am definitely wearing all things crafty today. Okay, so enough of that. Let's just get on to 2020 and what I've been up to at the beginning of this year. The second segment of this podcast is normally one that I call the end of the line, because those are projects that I have completed sometimes between this recording and the previous one, and I don't have many to share with you in person, showing them to you, because most of the ones that I finished were gifts, and so they have already been sent out and been received or not. For example, you're seeing up here on the corner one of the projects that I completed and that I love it, but it is not my love for it that has kept it here. It is just that I haven't been able to give it away. I haven't found a recipient. I had a recipient in mind, and then my older daughter was here to accompany me for the funeral services of my mother, and she commented that it was very pretty, and I offered to give it to her, but she left it behind, so I guess that she just decided that she would never wear it. Because if you try it on, I mean, this is a huge, humongous, it's double, because remember, this is Off the Beat yarn by Lion Brand, and it is one of those hook yarns, so yarns that come in loops and that you hook them. It's not Off the Beat, I'm sorry. This is Off the Loop yarn by Lion Brand, and so it's got these loops that you fingerknit, and so it is very thick and it is very cozy. But if I was sitting on a cold winter day in front of a fire, be it a log stove or be it just one of those fireplaces that light up with electrical lighting, and I had a glass of wine or Prosecco, as a lot of you like to drink, and I was sitting in front of a classic on TV, I would love to cozy up in this. So, but I didn't keep it. I wasn't selfish with it. I didn't keep it because of that. I only kept it because, like I said, I gifted it to my daughter, and though she liked it, she didn't want to take it with her. I hope she won't need it this winter, because if she does, I'm just going to be able to say, I told you so. But I will find someone else. There will be someone out there who will need something like this, and so it will get an owner. And if not, I will just love it to death anyway. I have since ordered the Bernier loop yarn. Excuse me. That has a certain percentage of wool in it. This is just polyester. And so I believe it'll have a different drape and a different texture. And if you remember, this was a design by Doily Crafts. And so the yarn that she used was that Bernat yarn. And so I have since ordered it, and I want to make another one because it was fun. Once you got the hang of the yarn, it was fun. So that, yes, I will definitely make another one because I love the pom-poms. I especially love the pom-poms. So that was one of those. It's still here, but I sent out my Sege socks, and they fit the recipient, and he was wearing them around the house on Christmas Day all day, he told me. I also sent out the faux fur vest that I made up and shared to you on the previous podcast. I believe I was missing the ends. I did weave in the ends before I sent it out, and she did receive it, didn't send a picture, but since my daughter was with me, I had sent the gifts to her. Her partner in crime FaceTimed us and opened her presents for her in front of the camera and tried on the vest so she would see how it would fit. And basically we saw that what we had thought would happen did actually happen. Though I had added stitches to the back, and the back fit perfectly, I didn't have a problem with the back. Adding those extra rows to the back meant that it messed up the drape of the front. And so the panels at the front that were supposed to drape down were not draping properly. So I'm going to have a second look at that. She's going to send it back, and I'm going to see what I can do to fix that, because hopefully I will be able to remove. I didn't hide those ends. I didn't weave them in totally. I just kind of set them in so that she couldn't see them, but I think I'll be able to find them, and I hopefully will be able to rip it back and try it out a second time, because the yarn is so lovely that I really don't want it to go to waste. So there are a couple of things that I think I could change. Maybe I made the armhole too far up. I believe the instructor said to leave 8 stitches from the top to where you began the armhole. Maybe it needed more so that it had more of a collar at the top, and then that would bring the flaps to the front and they would drape the way they were supposed to. I don't know, but I'll have to have another look at that because it was just too beautiful to let go to waste. So, what else did I gift? Well, along the line of gifting, my older daughter's partner wrote to me a couple of days after she got back and sent me a picture of what is being called over the interwebs Baby Yoda. Now, at the time, I did not know what or who Baby Yoda was, but I later found out that Baby Yoda is a character not called that way. It is called the child in, is it the Mandalorian animation series on Disney Plus? I don't know. I haven't still not seen the series. I have only seen images of what is being called Baby Yoda on the internet. And so he sent me a picture of a plush. It was sewn. It was not crocheted. And I think it had a price of $25.99. And I said, well, if you like it, buy it, because there's no way that I'm going to make that for you for $24.99 or $25. But, you know, me, maker's pride. I looked at it and I said, well, let me see. I know nothing about it. Maybe somebody did make it. And I actually did find a pattern on Ravelry. So the original pattern was by Allison Hoffman on Ravelry. It is no longer there, as I said before. The page is up, but she took down the images. And so this was one that you can still see on the internet. Maybe you can see why Disney felt threatened by her design. It is not the only one. I have no idea why she was asked to take hers down, but there are others available. I found a pattern on sarahmaker.com. She's got, well, the page is so white that you really can't see it as well. But she has the instructions for making this amigurumi. She has also been asked to take the pattern down. But she has only left it available because some people have started and she wants them to have time to finish them. But well, she apparently will be taking it down soon. So she has all the instructions on her blog that you can follow. And I also found some YouTube videos. They were in Spanish, but if you crochet, you should have no problem following her instructions. You can see what she's doing well enough to know that she's doing a single crochet in each stitch or single crochet decrease. You can see what she is doing. So you can also look that up. And so I made my Baby Yoda over here. This was Stylecraft DK in the color Pistachio. Just getting it. I had a complete skein here, and this is what I have left. So I have enough to make another one. It is pretty small compared to the others. The original design was made in super bulky. So it makes, let's say, like a teddy bear size amigurumi, but I only had DK. I didn't want to purchase anything, so if I was going to make this, I was impromptu gift. I was going to make it from stash. So this is Stylecraft. The eyes, I didn't have big enough eyes, I thought. These are 9mm. But on the sites that you will find up, some of them recommend putting a piece of felt on the outside of the eye to make it look bigger. So that's what I did. And the gown is made out of Rico Rumi. There were some little samples that I showed you on a previous episode that I received from a viewer of this podcast. And so for the collar and the wristband, I used this one also from Stylecraft. Eskimo Double Knitting by Stylecraft. It's called Colorway Natural. And that's what I've done. I did trim it. I did trim it a bit because it got on my nerves because it was covering up too much of the face. One thing I'm not happy with is the mouth. I have tried to replace that over and over again several times and I'm just not happy with it. And so I am still going to remove it before I send it out. Everything else is complete and finished, but I just am not happy with it. I usually let things sit aside for a while and keep on looking at them, but definitely I'm not happy with the mouth, so I am going to remove it. And I don't know, I'm thinking maybe it needs to be shorter or something, because the idea is that the character is more or less usually frowning or has his mouth straight in the photographs that you see, but I think it was too long. I followed the pattern exactly on Sarah Make's blog. The only thing I did was change my hook to a 2.5 and use the Stylecraft DK. My neighbor, who does a lot of amigurumi, told me that she uses a hook that is smaller than the one required by the yarn so that she can avoid keeping her tension so tight when she makes her stitches so that there won't have any holes between them, or at least the holes will be insignificant. So in order to avoid that, she used a smaller hook, and then she doesn't have to worry about the yarn tension. And it was good advice. It was a sound advice because it really was helpful and to be able to work on the different parts of this. I liked the pattern because it was worked completely from head to toe. No, it was worked completely from toe to head. The one that's on YouTube works from head to toe, but hers went from the bottom up, and so that's one whole piece. You don't have to join anything there. Then you stuff, and then you can make the other parts. So I did join the ears, I did join the arms, but all of the rest was done in one solid piece, and I like that a lot. So if you're into that type of thing, if you're a Star Wars nerd, or if your children are, there's somebody out there who would like you to do that maybe. Like I said, it wasn't a planned project. I was very surprised that it stands up. That really surprised me. It stood up well while I did the feet. Once I added the body, it stood up. But after adding the head, since the head is so much heavier, then I couldn't get it to stand up, obviously. But once I added the arms, it just stood up by itself. And I was so happy with that. So there's a make. That reached the end of the line, almost. But I can't get over the mouth, so I'm going to redo it. Also, something that you did see previously was my pom-pom rug. I'm going to reach over here. Here it is. My pom-pom rug reached the end of the line after Christmas. It's hard to hold because it's pretty big. Okay. One thing I'll notice, this started out being an oval rug pattern, but it's not oval. Mine is rectangular, sort of. I guess it was because, well, I don't guess. I know it was because that when you took the turns to create the sides, I didn't take the turns. I went straight up, and then I went straight down. So obviously I created a rectangle. But I wasn't going to rip it out. I left it like that. It worked out fine. The edging, they recommended doing one or two, I don't remember, 1 or 2 rows of double crochet. I ended up doing 3 rows of double crochet, and then I still added to it a crab stitch all the way around because you know that I like the crab stitch. Things are finished when you can put a crab stitch border on them. The yarn that I used, This is the way the back side looks. You'll remember that this has rug backing that you have crocheted into using slip stitches. And so in between the pom-poms, the thread that's there, you slip stitch into the backing. And so, I mean, it was a cool experience and all that, but I know that one of the reasons why this isn't straight, it's a wavy rectangle. I'll put some pictures up so you can see. But the reason that it is like that is because in between the pom-poms, I used a 5mm hook. So in between the pom-poms, sometimes you had 2 stitches, sometimes you could make 1, sometimes you could make 3. So I guess before I knew that, I tried to always get the same amount of stitches, and that forcing that extra stitch there probably made some of it too tight and then some of it too loose. So, but I have to say that it is not a disagreeable wave that I have created on the edge. I actually like the way the edge curves like this. Instead of being a straight rectangle, it's got a curve. And I'll put up a picture which is better appreciated, but it's not straight. See, it's got curve to it. So, but it looks fine. I like it. It looks like me. All curvy, and I never go in a straight line towards anything. Never in my life. We're taking curves to get places. So that was a really fun project if you have the opportunity. The pattern is from Yarnspirations, and using this red heart yarn called Pompadoodle, if you've never seen it before. This is the colorway Quirky, and it was on sale for Christmas. I don't know if you can still find it or find it on sale, but it was on sale for Christmas. The pattern, however, said to use 9 balls. So, and it also says that it's a 24 by 36, 24 inches by 36 inches. Mine did not reach that. Mine is like 22 by 33 maybe. It's probably because I stopped making it because I ran out of backing. I didn't have any more space on the backing, the rug backing that I had. It wasn't a complete piece of rug backing. It was something that I had left over from another project. It might have been that their piece was larger, and but the size is perfect for where I want to put it, so I'm not complaining about that. However, I had 3 of these left over. So I started out with 9, and I only used 6 to make that. And it was a perfect size for my bathroom. My bathroom's not too big. So, yes, I'm thinking that maybe I could use this to make the toilet seat cover or the tank cover, because I've got 3 of them left. And then maybe the toilet seat cover, make it in a solid color, like this blue that's here. This blue that is here was a yarn that was gifted to me as a prize for the Vanya Cowl Cowl hosted by Hannah of the Cozy Cottage Crochet. And it is a mixture of cotton and acrylic. It's number 2, so I guess maybe that's a sport weight. %, cotton, 45% acrylic. And it's this beautiful blue color, which I don't know. It's not, I had enough for a garment, but I don't know if it's a color that goes with my skin tone. It's not a color that is in my wardrobe at all. I don't have one piece of anything that is this color, but I think it's a very pretty color. It's not actually a sky blue, but it's not a turquoise blue either. So it's a very pretty color. So I'm thinking that I am going to use this to create the rest of that bathroom set. And so if I can find a way to use this to crochet up a cover for the toilet, it would only be able to be the top, because the sides I would have to do in that blue. And then I could also use it to make a part around the tank, And then maybe I'd only make the front part and the top part and the bottom part edging, all make it in that blue. I have enough to do that. But it would be a big project for me, as I'm not too sure how to do it without the rug backing. And the rug backing is fine. It's just that I am worried about washing this, because I remember I had that rug backing on a crochet rug that I made before, but I wasn't able to wash it. Well, I did wash it and I totally ruined the backing. Had to rip it off. So I'll have a think, and I'll maybe consult a couple of people. It also, see the distance between these two? It's not consistent, but if by any chance you snag the yarn totally falls apart. Let me see if I've got anything back here. On the back, I wasn't able to weave in ends because the ends are not long enough for you to weave them in. So you just kind of had to crochet with 2 strands at once to get the second skein started. And then, because when it breaks like that. So it totally falls apart. And this is the part, this is not the pom-pom. This is the cord joining the pom-pom. Well, actually, in this case, it was the cord at the end. The very beginning of the pom-pom, of the ball. That yarn at the very beginning kind of fell apart. And, oops. And that's what I got. See, this yarn at the beginning, this is how long it is. You can't weave in those ends, guys. I mean, I think you could have made it at least this long. They could have left off one pom-pom and made it that long. That would have been long enough to weave in. But this one wasn't, and even this is not very long. If you're connecting it, you're doing 1 slip stitch, so you have about that much left over only. But if that unravels, you get a big mess that you can't do anything with. So, I don't know. Obviously, it will have to be hand washed, and just, I don't know. Any other way you could think of washing this that doesn't require tons of water? Dry cleaning? Can it be dry cleaned? I don't know. Okay, so pressing on, I have a couple of new projects that I have started in the new year. One of the things that I like to do at the end of the year is take a look at what am I bringing along with me. What things did I start last year that I just set aside out of frustration or unhappiness or dislike, whatever the reason, and that I never continued to work on. So taking a look at that, I saw that some of my projects were projects in planned pooling, which was one of my, I guess, my crafty or my yarny, what would you call them, resolutions for the new year. I wanted to experiment with and play around with planned pooling, and so I purchased, actually I had wanted to purchase this for a Christmas gift, but the yarn did not arrive in time. So I purchased this yarn. It's called Lemon Drop. Good Heart with Love, Lemon Drop. And the idea of yarn that you can use for planned pooling is that it has to be fairly consistent. The length of the colors have to be fairly consistent, so that each time you get to the color change, you can use the same amount of stitches to go through that color. And if you can use the same amount of stitches each time to go through a particular color, you can create an argyle. Well, you can create different patterns, but one of them is this argyle pattern. And I know I shared with you last year a piece of software you could use to help you in your planning. This one I'm just going by a pattern. It is another pattern. I think I shared it with you the last time also, by Yarnspirations. The actual pattern itself was written by Marley Bird, and she is one of Red Heart's experts on plan pooling. And so this is what I have up to now. You can already see how the pooling, the colors are falling into place and creating the texture, the pattern. I'm a little bit worried about it because it's very big for my head. But some people that wrote their reviews of the pattern stated that it started out the right size, and as they got more into it, this is going to become a large rectangle that's going to be cinched together at the top. As they got into it, it became smaller. So they ripped back and made it smaller because they saw it too big at the beginning, and then when they got, like, say halfway through, it was too small. So I didn't want to rip it back yet because I don't want to lose. Planned pooling can create beautiful textured, beautiful patterns, but it is very irritating. People would say fiddly. To me, it irritates my nerves because there is a constant crochet, rip back, because certain things have to happen. Like, for instance, the colors, and I'm saying this and I'm still not readily sure about how it works. The colors have to, and you can see some places where it didn't happen here. What can I say? In order to create this pattern like that, the colors have to, like, run diagonally. So each time you're on a row, you end one color, the next color on that line has to match the color that was on the previous column of the row below. It can't be directly under it. It has to match the color that was one to the side. So you have two ways. You can either count and make sure you always have the same amount of stitches in each color, or you can watch your stitches and make sure that when a new color comes out, it matches one stitch down and one stitch over on the row below. And either one of those things is a pain, because in order to get the same amount of stitches, sometimes you have to change your hook size, or sometimes you have to change your stitch. If you're using a single crochet, use a half double, or use a slip stitch so that you can make it end, use up all the color at the position where you have to use it all up. And so that is fiddly, and that can be, it could be nerve-wracking for if you are too a perfectionist, too much of a perfectionist. But I'm not that much of a perfectionist, so I was happy seeing that the pooling was making that argyle. And so I started this, I think, in January. Look at that. You know what that means? It means that I'm going to have to cut and reattach. And I don't know how that's going to work for this type of yarn. I don't know how much that is going to mess up, because it's a huge piece. I don't know how that's going to mess up my argyle design here. We'll see. Okay, so that is one. This is going to be the argyle hat that I showed you previously, also on one of the previous podcasts. Looks like that. The lighting here is not very good to give you a nice picture, but more or less that's what it looks like. Well, that's what I was going for. And so, yeah, I think it's working. I do have a couple of plan pooling projects still from last year that I also have on my agenda to complete this year. In addition to that, I began a, where did I begin here? I began a mandala doily. So it is a free pattern from annaverkpanna.com. annaverkpanna.com. All these things, I mentioned them to save a little time when editing. I don't write them on the screen, but I will put them in the description box below. And so I'll put in the links. This is the picture that she included of the mandala. It's good if you can look it up on Ravelry, because they have people have made it even into rugs, huge giant rugs for the floor, and it's very pretty. So I have been working on it in a solid color. That's also why I wanted to open up Ravelry, because I want to be able to show it to you in a solid color, but I could put it in later. This is the one I've been working on. I just love the texture. All the different texture. I just find it so lovely. I've been using this Petra cotton, DMC Petra, 100% cotton. It's got a color number, 53805, but that is, I guess it means fuchsia pink. I guess it means fuchsia pink. So the pattern, So the pattern has, I think, maybe 40 something rows. The pattern is completely on her blog. Oh, 34 rows. Why am I happy to hear that? Because I am on row 24, and therefore, which means, yay, a couple of days and I can, or a couple of sittings, right? And I'll be able to get it done. And I assure you it's going to be lovely. I think if I had made it in the different colors, it would have been lovelier. It is still beautiful. I can imagine putting it on the wall, making it in colors and hanging fringe from the bottom and just putting it on the wall as a wall art. Anyway, I'm having lots of joy time doing that one. As I said previously, this is, I believe it's number 3, so it's not the thinnest yarn. This is number 5. So it's not the thinnest. Their sizes, their thread sizes go 3, 5, 8. This is a 5. The one that I'm working with. So it's not that thin. The one that I made for the Doily Exchange was a size 10, Aunt Lydia. So this is being worked with a 2.25 millimeter hook. And so that is the second project that I have. Is it the last one? Nope, I've got one more to share with you. And the third project that I am working on is a sock. It is a sock. I am using, for this sock, lace weight yarn. This is a yarn that I purchased from Crafternoon Treats, and I purchased 2 colors from Crafternoon Treats, and she sent me an additional one. I think this is the one that she sent me additionally, because I could not look up the order. I lost the ball band, and I could not find this yarn on my orders in Etsy so that I could see the name, the colorway name. So I don't know the colorway name. I'm going to contact her and see if she can tell me, because I like to have all the details. It is lace weight Corriedale Polworth, 80% Corriedale Polworth with 20% nylon. So I've had it in my mind for a while now, as did she, and as did another designer that I spoke with recently, of designing a lace weight sock for crochet. Not for mini, for crochet. Because I wanted to see if maybe my crochet socks would come up thin enough so they would be more similar to a knit sock. And you know what? It works. It works. This is what I have for now. I've got a toe. I am really undecided right now where I'm going to go from here, because I started this out as the Rundle Socks by Addie Day, If you didn't hear about it, I'll let you know. You still have some days. Addie Day Designs on Ravelry. That is Deanne of Addie Day Designs. She is donating 100% of her sales from her sock patterns to the Wildlife Association in Australia. You all know that Australia has been hit continuously by fires over this summer, summer in Australia, and it has been devastating for wildlife. It has been devastating for the land, for the people, homes. It's just been terrible for everybody and everything. And Deanne has been donating up to August the 15th. She will be donating 100% of her sales to Wildlife Association to help. They have lost millions of animals in addition to everything else, but her charity, her donation is specifically to help save the animals. So look it up on news, look it up on the internet if you have a possibility. Ask somebody to look it up for you. There's a lot of news out on different people and different organizations that you can donate to directly if you don't want to go through the second person. You can purchase a sock pattern for yourself. You can gift the sock pattern to someone else, and you will still be contributing to this worthy cause. So keep that in mind until August the 15th. Well, I purchased the pattern for myself when it came out at the beginning. And so I love her sock patterns. They're easy to follow. The instructions are clear, and they always turn out to be such pretty socks. So I purchased it. There's a lovely round toe that is created by her pattern. And now I am undecided whether I am going to continue. The reason that I picked her pattern is because of the fact that it's so well written that I thought that I could adapt it easily to the lace weight. But this is a pattern that uses post stitches, back post and front post. So if I crochet it for here on the island, I use my socks to do exercise. I wouldn't be able to use them because they're very thick. They come out to be very thick. So they're more like house socks or boot socks if you live in a cold place. But for me, they weren't able to be my exercise socks because they're too thick. But the lace weight is coming out very, very thin. I don't know if you can see that. But it is I don't know if you can appreciate it but it is very, very thin. Maybe I should have brought another sock so you could compare. Actually, I do have a sock here. These are socks that Elizabeth gifted me for Christmas. I don't know the name of the pattern. I know it's a pattern by Emma of Powder and Bloom. And these are fingering weight socks. But it's also got a texture very similar to what Addie Day gives her socks. That's very similar to the post stitches. So I was betting on, So I was betting on that this sock that I'm making would be very similar to this in texture. This is not the thinnest of socks because it has all that texture there. But they are beautiful. And I love them. I love knit socks. I just love them. So this is comparable to that. Here's the sock. My toe is a bit longer because I wanted my toe to cover up my pinky. That wasn't happening on some of my previous socks. And so I brought it down a bit. It's 2.5 inches of toe. And I'm ready to now start the leg. Okay. The largest size on this pattern is 56 stitches. And I checked my gauge and I figured out that I needed about 60 stitches to go around my foot. So this has 60 stitches. And it's a nice fit up to now. So I'm hoping that in the long run it will be a great fit also. So that is one of my experiments this year because I am using a 2.5 millimeter hook. Could I have used a 2.75 or a 3? I don't know. I went for the 2.5 because this yarn is really thin. But I'm not having any issues besides the fact, issues that are you always have when you use lace weight, that's very thin. But besides that, I am enjoying myself. And I am enjoying the, I thought it was going to take a lot longer to make that toe than it actually did. So I'm happy with that also. And I have accepted that challenge to make a crochet sack and lace weight. First of all, because I felt that I had that commitment with Catherine of Crafternoon Treats when I purchased the yarn, and she gifted to me an additional one. So I wanted that to happen. I've got 2 more colors. Here's another one of her colors. I don't know if I've shown it before. This one is called Water Off a Duck's Beak. I think that's beautiful. And I want to take that challenge to enter one of the year-long CALs that is being hosted by Hannah of the Cozy Cottage Crochet. Hannah is hosting a CAL called Mission Impossible 2020. And the Mission Impossible is because you are supposed to take on a project that you deem to be a great challenge, almost impossible, and prove to yourself that virtually nothing is impossible, that you can do anything you set your mind to, and that you set your spirits to, and that you place as a goal. So, in that spirit of meeting the challenge this year, I have accepted the challenge and I'm going to make that lace weight sock. In addition, I believe I am going to set as a goal that I want to make a color work sweater. And I have to say that this just came up recently because I saw a beautiful color work sweater on Instagram in crochet. And so I purchased the pattern. I know I said I wasn't going to purchase anything else, that I wanted to make everything that I had, but I purchased it. And it is a pattern called Taroko. I believe the designer created it after a trip that it is inspired by a trip to Taiwan. And so this is the sweater. It is a crop sweater, but I'm pretty sure you can adjust the length. And it is short sleeve, but I guess if you wanted to, you could make it long sleeve. It's got a round yoke, lace elements throughout, and it was inspired by Taroko National Park in Taiwan. The lush green mountains and waterfalls which are bursting with wildlife and beauty. The body of the sweater can be made cropped or as long as you want, and the neck is wide for extra comfort. So, that is another challenge that I am going to take on this year. You need 3 different colors of fingering weight yarn. I believe that's 4-ply. Let's see. Fingering weight size yarn and 3 colors. 3 colors. I would be making probably the small. So I think I need more than one of the main color. 550 of the main color, so that's probably 2. I wouldn't use them completely, but I would need 2 hanks. 310 of a secondary color and 210 of the third color. So I guess that's 4. I need 4 hanks. And so that is the second challenge that I want to take on. Of course, these things mean nothing because from last year's experience, you know that sometimes I say I'm going to do things and I just don't. But I have those too. And I also found another pattern recently. This, the color work is by Nomad Stitches. NomadStitches.com, and you could also find it on Ravelry. And the second one challenge that I'm going to put to myself is this. It's called it's a cabled peplum Oh, you really can't see here too well. It also can be found on Ravelry. And because I love peplum, I am going to make this one. You need, I believe for the size I want to make, it's like a 1,000 or 1,100 yards, 1,100 yards of DK weight. She makes it in DK weight. This is by Two Brothers Blankets. Two Brothers Blankets. And so I've been planning. I have been planning for this new year. Planning to continue with my crafting, improve my crafting. I have chosen a word for the year. The word for the year is going to be grow. And I have not decided yet how I am going to reflect that one, but I've got a couple of ideas. I'll let you know more about that once I get started on them. But my main objective this year is to try and finish things that are in my stash that I know can reach their completion if I just dedicate myself to them. And, well, rip back frog, save some yarn from other projects which I am definitely not going to complete. So that's number one. To do so, I am also going to be joining in on a cow by the Wool Nest on Instagram. It's called Find It, Finish It, or Frog It. And it's by the Wool Nest on Instagram. She is Lynn Rowe. She's a designer, tech editor, author of books, blogger. I mean, she does it all in crochet and knit. And she is hosting a Find It, Finish It, Frog It with the hashtag FFFalong2020. And so I don't have the details of how long it's going to last, but I can look them up before I edit this podcast and put them in the description box below so that you'll know. But I want to start the year off by doing that, by finishing up things that I started last year and that for one reason or another I never got around to finishing. They included some things that I was challenging myself with. For example, a shawl that I will not rename, and skills that I also wanted to master. For example, my plant pooling, that I have some projects uncompleted and I want to see if I can get around to finishing them this year. So thank you for joining me today. This will be another year of crafting, hopefully. Hopefully you'll join me. Come along for the ride this year also. Ups and downs on my roller coaster ride of crafting here, but it is fun most of the time and hopefully motivating to a lot of you. And thank you for keeping me company. It is always motivating knowing that you're waiting for me to come back. And thank you, all of you who have written to me, giving me your condolences and helping me move along with my grieving and my mourning for this period. And so welcome back to a new year, and hopefully this year will bring lots of good things for all of us. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for hitting the like button below if you desire to do so. That will help us also get the podcast out to more viewers. Thank you for sharing this podcast, sharing the link with others who don't know that I exist, and hopefully they will pass it on to more people, and soon we will become a larger community only because it's much more motivating and challenging if I know that you have expectations for me as well. In the meantime, before we meet again, keep yourself healthy, keep yourself happy, and keep crafting. Bye for now. See you soon.